Hi, I'm Patricia Shanks. This is Studio Shanks Sundays live at 5, and just keep watching. I am very happy to say that my guest today is just another. I know all these wonderful, multi-talented people, a multi-talented, multifaceted, fascinating woman, Lauri Goldenhersh. And hi, Lauri.
Hi, Patricia. Great to
I'm
see
just,
you.
I'm so excited to talk to you because you do so many things. And as sometimes I visit your sites and everything, and as I looked, you've got a new venture that you're starting too, because you needed to do more things, add them to your
Yes,
list.
clearly. It's
So,
a sickness. It really is.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, once you get started, well, you know that thing, those who do more, and those who
Yes.
don't do anything, or something like that. So anyway, um, Lori is just really phenomenal, and she bills herself many ways, but I know her as a singerpreneur and a mezzo soprano, but a singerpreneur. And so I'm going to let Lori dive into what that means.
It's a funny thing. I came to my current position running Lori's List and running the blog and the podcast and all that through a very convoluted journey. And I was I was learning all about entrepreneurial things, and I was trying to figure out how I wanted to craft this new part of my life. And at the time when I started playing with this, I was married to a magician. And so when Lori's List first started, we were still together, and I started, magicians talk about business in very different ways than other artists do. They are very upfront about it. They know it's a business. They have no doubt they are out there to make their money and make sure they cover their expenses, and they deal with it really differently. So I was trying to coin a phrase and trying to kind of figure out what I was going to be. And so I came up with this word and I stuck it on a business card and it stuck. But basically, what it means to me, the tagline on our blog, on the Singerpreneur blog, is the business of classical vocal. And that's what it comes down to. Is it's not just, we are all artists and we are all creative beings who are trying to create something and contribute something interesting, but there is this other side of it that doesn't have to be scary or hidden or secret, or this thing that, taboo thing that we don't talk about. And I kind of
Right.
wanted to bring it to the forefront so that we could really embrace it and learn some new skills and really encourage singers to take hold of their own destiny in some different ways.
Right. And I feel that, I don't know, you're so present on the internet with your Lori's List,
Mhm.
and we'll get into all of that too. But I really feel like you are the presence, especially in Southern California, but I'm sure beyond Southern California. You are the classical singing kind of the glue that holds everything together with your list, because
Very
you
kind.
you talk about events that are coming up. You talk about meetings. I saw there was a California Arts Council meeting on your calendar.
Mhm.
You talk about all the things that are of interest to classical, and not necessarily always just classical singers,
Right.
and to the audiences, because where do we go to find out what's going on? You are doing an incredible service
Thank
with
you.
this list, and it's a lot of work too. I know, just
It
collecting
is.
all that information.
It is. It's an ongoing, it's basically a full-time job, but because so much of it is community service, it's not a full-time income. So I actually do other things as well. But it's really my passion. We've been doing this almost 19 years. And yeah, Lori's
Wow.
List is going to be 20 in 2022. We're going to have to throw a big party.
Oh my gosh. That's great. That's
But
wonderful.
yeah, it's been, when that realization hit me, I went, that's it. We're doing something big. It's too good to, to let slip. But what it comes down to is the whole thing started as just filling a need. It, we Do you really want the whole story about how the list started? It's not terribly long.
Well, yeah, no, I'm sure, we're really curious. I remember something some years ago, I guess toward the inception, toward the beginning of everything, and just wowing at it because I didn't know what was going on. And even though I was on a couple of forums, and would
Right.
pick up information here and there. And I just thought you were amazing. I haven't been a member of the list. I'm sorry. I need to
No, it's
join again.
okay. It's okay. You're welcome to join anytime. I know very well that saying that our members tend to come and go as their needs change. We, what it came down to is that in late 2002, I had a bunch of friends that I was sharing, in those days we had internet, but we didn't have social media yet. And so we were sharing sub notices like, I need a sub for such and such by email. And I got tired of typing the same 35 names into the BCC field every time I shared something. And so I came up with a distribution list. I was sharing a computer with my ex-husband. And so that he would know what this list was, now we would call it an email group. Because so he would know what it was. It said Lauri's LA vocal list. And I didn't understand at the time that every time I used the list, that name went into that title went into the to field. And so people started calling me and saying, well, what's Lauri's list? I want to be on it. How do I get on it? How do I do this? And within 2 years, we had 400 members.
So this actually started as sort of a, if I'm not mistaken, a list serve kind of a thing.
That's exactly it. Yeah,
And
I created
yeah,
it. Yeah.
and I guess I jumped on a little later then because it was already quite evolved and on the internet and everything. I thought it was toward the beginning, but apparently
I
not.
think we were, well, what happened is 2 years later, my computer crashed and I lost 8 years worth of email data, including the list and the application,
Oh
an
no.
application process. We lost everything. So I sent out emails to everybody I could. We turned it into a Yahoo group so that I wouldn't let, that happen again. And then, yeah, that was when we got up to about 400 members. And then in 2008, we started it as a separate website with membership fees and all of that. And the membership fee is really about access to the job listings. We have all kinds of things we do for non-members and community members and presenters in the area and all the things. It's not all dependent on membership, but the pre-screened professional members have access to the professional boards. So I'm constantly looking for jobs that they might be interested in. And we've got, like you said, we're not entirely classical, but our screening process is based on classical training and skills. So everybody starts with a certain baseline. You have to have some experience. You can't be, fresh out of college, never had a job. You need to have a little bit of experience under your belt. And it has all kind of grown, all of that. Everything I just said grew out of the needs of the people that were bringing us jobs. They said, I need this. And I went, okay, let's figure out how to screen for that. And so we came up with a process, and it's been an evolution more than anything else. The whole thing has just evolved into something that I would never have imagined. But yeah, now, like I said, now we've got website, podcast, events, newsletter, community calendar, blog. It's been
Right.
fun. It's been
Right.
And I'm really excited about our newest program is that we're getting guest bloggers involved on the blog. So it's not just me yammering at all of you anymore.
But you do have a lot to say. You're very, yes, I've read some of it
Yes,
because you're
since
you're
I
a
was a child.
reviewer. Yeah, you also are a reviewer for other sites and a guest blogger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
occasionally. Yeah, it's been interesting. I really love words is what it comes down to. I come from a very word driven family. We like our writing. My sister's got a children's book under her belt. She's, working on a novel. My dad and my mom both write beautifully. And anyway, we're word people.
Well,
But
when does your book come out,
I'm working on a series of little ebooks that will help my members do specific things, and they will be premiering probably November.
Ooh, cryptic. Yes. Good. Well, we'll look forward to those. And let's see. So, the other thing that's you sort of briefly breezed through and mentioned all of these things, but the podcast is relatively new. I
It
just found
is.
that today. I didn't know that existed.
It's on all of the major channels. But here's what happened. I took a workshop. Some of you may know the name Seth Godin. He's kind of a marketing guru. It's ridiculous, but I have an actual Seth Godin action figure. I've been reading his books for years. If you don't know him, just Google Seth's blog, and every artist should be following Seth. They really should. He is on the marketing side, but he thinks like an artist. And he's very interested in artists and all of that. But he offers a wonderful podcasting workshop that I took last spring. And I thought, I'm going to take this workshop and then I'll start my podcast in 6 months. But no, 2 months after I started the workshop, they're going, okay, now you're going to launch. So I launched before I was really ready. But, tomorrow morning I will be dropping episode 4 since April. So it's been, we're going very, very slowly right now, but it's going to be picking up. I'm doing some really interesting interviews. I just interviewed Harriet Fraser and Sean Kirchner, who have a new album coming out this week. And it opens up a channel of communication so that we can talk, like you're doing. So we can talk to people and find out what they're doing and what inspires them, and hopefully get a little inspired ourselves.
Right, yeah, and for people, I also want to mention for people, you said something toward the beginning about this mysterious thing, classical vocal, and
classical vocal, yeah,
the singing itself and the business, there's such mystery involved. How do I get involved in this? Where do I go to audition? How do I could never be a classical singer, or those people who sing classical, or such,
or there's another group that I get a lot, because people have to apply to be part of the list. I get a lot of people who have come to LA and are trying to make money. They can sing nicely and they're trying to make money any way they can. And so they think, I could be a classical singer, and they have no idea what the expectations are. None.
Right.
They can't. One of my favorite questions on the application is, please describe your sight singing skills. And there are those who have no idea what that means. And then there are those who say, well, I read okay, but I learn really fast, which means they might be really good at certain things. And that's terrific. A lot of classical singers don't learn really fast. They just read, but it's a different skill set. And the people, there are people who come and they think that it's all about the sound, and it's not.
Yeah. And we don't mean to be
that.
We don't mean to be snobbish. It's just, it is not, there's this thing, especially with, some of the talent shows on TV and people singing opera.
Yes, our quotes are important here.
Yeah, there's this thing that makes people think that singing, which I think people think anyway, singing that style or singing really well and being knowledgeable about singing is easy, it comes easily. But when you think about it, would you want your doctor to just decide one day, I could probably take out that Gazornenplatz,
That's such a good example. It really is. That's the thing. It really is a different skill set. Pop singers can do things that I certainly can't, never could. My voice doesn't go that way. It just doesn't. I'm okay with jazz, but don't have the skills, can't scat to save my life. The expectations for these different jobs are different. And so that's why we pre-screen. I do get accused of snobbery a lot. I got called out on Facebook a few years ago by a singer who's a very good singer, but had almost no classical experience at the time. And so she had said, well, Lauri, why would anybody go, join that? That's such a snooty organization. She wouldn't let me in. And actually, I had to remind her, I did, but we had to have that conversation where I really understood what it was you were doing and, what you were trying to do. And before I had even said that, 4 of my members jumped all over her and said, she's great. It's a perspective thing. It really is. I don't ever want to deny somebody their dreams.
No.
I don't ever want to keep somebody from singing, but no. I can't vouch for you and send you out on a choral gig where you're going to have to walk in and read it cold unless you're really ready to do that. I don't want to set anybody up for failure.
Right. And you
So
can't know everything. You can
tricky.
just do the best you can. You're not you're not auditioning every person personally.
No,
And then yeah, your reputation is on the line too a little bit, if you start
yeah.
sending people out who just can't do the job. And
We have had to, I've had to have some tough conversations around that. It's
yeah,
that's actually where the coaching aspect of what I do came from. Is that I had to start sitting down with some people and saying, okay, here's some feedback that I got from this person. You need to work on this and this and this, and this is how you do that.
right.
And that honest discussion is so valuable. When people grab hold of it and dive in, it's so exciting to see them just fly. It's
Yeah, if
wonderful.
these people are career oriented, they want to hear that. There are a lot of people who don't want to hear, la 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 la, don't tell me
Right.
that I need help. But those are not the people who are going to keep doing it and who are going to succeed with it.
They're short termers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you coach, and I know I teach, and especially with beginners, when they come in, they just don't know what it's all about. It's like,
It's
oh my gosh, there's so much more to singing than I
it's all
thought.
very foreign, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Again, at that level, some stay, some don't, and some stay for a while and don't, some stay and go away and come back. And
but you think about it with any serious endeavor, there is that element. There are people who try out different things. It's a hobby. Let's write something. I mean, yeah, I was a songwriter for about 12 minutes when I was in high school. Not my thing. I was
yeah.
trained as an opera singer and actually went out there and did a few operas and auditioned. I was telling a friend this story the other day. The day that I knew it was time for me to quit opera was the first time the day I walked into LA Opera and to audition for the chorus, and knew before I walked into the audition that I did not want to be there. I didn't want it badly enough. Opera was not my thing. I love the art form, but the way that it is rehearsed and all of that, it's just let's call it a workflow issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a
So
different vibe. Your day to day is different. It doesn't work for me.
yeah, and that's another, and of course, yes, you are a singer, and you have done a lot of classical various. That's another thing. People think classical opera, people who are not involved in this think classical equals opera, but there's art song, and art song is
And
hundreds and hundreds of years of different.
huge. And then
Yeah.
there's new music. I'm a huge new music geek, and I love working with composers. And I should explain, I'm actually not performing anymore, but all of that has evolved into this passion for presenting. And I was able to help co-found Unsung Concerts, which is now led by Ariel Pistorino, and she's doing some amazing things. That it's a tiny little project that's going to get bigger. It's so one to watch, but the idea of creating new things is really what drives me. And that's like I said, it's a sickness. You can't
Well,
set that down. You can't walk away from it because there's always something else to be done.
yeah, well, it's a good sickness, and somebody has to be suffering from it. So I'm glad it's you. I don't know. That sounds really terrible.
I'll take it. It's okay. I'll take it.
Okay, I'm glad you're ill and doing this.
Thank you.
So, let's see. So you coach people. I want to make sure that the singing history, the writing, the guest columnist. I'm looking at all my little cheat notes here because it's so long. There's so much. The blogger, the podcast, the coaching. Let's see. I don't know. I know that I'm sure that this lovely pandemic that we've been experiencing has probably had some effects on all the things that you do and all the things everyone
really
who you
did.
serve does, whatever. I think my grammar just failed me.
So you're
But
okay.
does cover it all. But how has the COVID pandemic messed with what you do?
Well, the arts shut down. I mean, I think most of us will remember March 13, 2020. That's a big day. It's when really the orders started coming through to shut down performances and shut down all kinds of things. And that's really kind of when it all started. And they it's been really hard to watch. But, like I said, I'm not performing anymore, so I was no longer dependent on that income. And like I said, I do other things in addition to the list so I can keep doing the list. So I was lucky in that my part-time job kept me on and actually increased my hours a little bit. So I was able to soldier on. But basically, yeah, we kind of kept the list going, but I wasn't actively asking for membership fees and things like that because my members were just really struggling. And watching everybody try to navigate that has been interesting. We've had quite a few listers who have moved out of the area. We're primarily in Southern California. We've had quite a few that have moved out of the area and may or may not come back. I don't know how that's going to work for them. We've had some who have just quit performing. We had some who were getting toward the end of their performance life and chose that moment to retire. This may sound strange, but in some ways, the pandemic happened at an opportune time for the list itself, because it gave me time. I was working from home, which makes my usual commute into Pasadena is like 2.5, 3 hours a day. So it's yeah. I was given the gift of time.
Yeah.
So just not having to commute for 14 months, I was able to completely rebuild the website, which at one point actually broke badly. And so then we had to, I had to speed it up and build it even faster. But we completely rebuilt the website. You can look at it at laurislist.com. I was able to take this podcast workshop and start the podcast that I had been wanting to start for about 3 years. And it gave me a chance. I think it gave all of us a chance to really reevaluate everything that we're doing and figure out which things mean the most, which things are we really willing to fight for under these adverse circumstances, and which projects have I never done. And I now know if I don't do them now, they're not going to happen.
You are so right. And, so many people, it's funny because it was kind of a joke circulating on social media, all the things people said, now I can do all this, and they didn't do anything, But you, on the other hand,
there was a lot of bread baking.
yeah. But you, on the other hand, did take advantage of that time and
I did a few things. Yeah. And honestly, I think with the way my life was going, I was building a lot of websites before the pandemic, and due to a variety of circumstances, I discovered that wasn't really cost effective for me. I was ending up spending enormous amounts of time and trying to keep my rates low. And so I wasn't getting paid enough to make it worthwhile. And so I've really slowed down. I only have a couple of website clients left. And all of that is in service of the arts community. I'm really trying to make sure that people have ways of getting things built, getting things designed, getting things out there so that they can market themselves, so that they can do their own business effectively, because otherwise people don't get to it.
Right.
It's not a character flaw. It's a human reality.
Yeah. And after all, we didn't ask for this vacation time.
It's true. It's really
it was
true.
Not planned.
Yeah. So. But I did see people, build extraordinary projects like watch for this album that Harriet Fraser and Sean Kirchner did together called Peace. And it'll be on my next, and give me about a week and that podcast episode will be up and you guys can learn more about it. But that is an album that Harriet and Sean designed directly in reaction to the pandemic, because Harriet's kids were having a hard time sleeping. Oh. And so they took a series of folk songs and did these extraordinary, very peaceful recordings and rearrangements of them. And I have artists who have built websites. I have artists who are still, in concept. They're still formulating what their next steps are going to be. And there are some really exciting projects coming out of this kind of strange reality we've all been living in. And
that we continue to live in, because we don't know really where things are going from here too much. Yeah. But now I'm getting all excited about that. That sounds like a lovely album. And I want to make sure people know how to access your podcast. That's on the Singerpreneur site, is it not?
You can access it through the blog at singerpreneur.com, but it's actually on all. I went a little nuts with the distribution. It's available on all of the major podcast sites. So if you can figure out how to spell Singerpreneur.
Yeah, I'll use graphics. We'll make sure.
There you go.
But you said
can get it. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on Audible, it's on Google, it's on Stitcher.
Wow.
If you use podcasts, it's there.
Wow. I think I have to take that workop you took, because
Yes,
now
you
I'm
do.
getting all excited too. I'm doing, because this is something that I started developing, which I wouldn't have had time to do. So
Exactly.
for whatever it is or isn't worth its building too, this is, I think, my fifth or sixth
There you go.
episode. So
But that means it's real. You get past like 5 or 6, and then it's a real thing. It's officially a thing.
it's happening.
It is. It is.
So let's see. So we have Lauri's List, which is, again, we'll put graphics up. It's laurislist.com. I'll make sure that that's there. So LAURISLIST.com.
Perfect. There's no E in Lauri.
Right. Yeah. For anybody who won't see the graphics, if they're just listening. And then Singerpreneur, well, that's going to be a graphic.
Singer, and then the last half of entrepreneur, that might help.
Yeah, the preneur part.
It's the preneur part that throws people.
Yeah. And let's see. And then on Lauri's List, people don't necessarily have to, pass muster. They don't have to, you can still see things by visiting Lauri's List, right?
There are public resources. There are forums that you can visit. You have to be some kind of a member. And we have a couple of membership levels. You don't have to be a full professional in order to join. There's an associate membership and all of that. All of that's laid out. Click join, you'll find out more.
Yeah.
But you have to be some sort of member to actually, take part in the forums, but you can see the public forums where we post all kinds of announcements and things. And we have an arts in the media forum where I post news links so you can keep up, and you can, as a member, you can actually subscribe to those. So you'll get a little, it's like your own curated news list
Great.
every day. And I'm really pleased with our new platform. So it makes a lot of things possible, but there are a lot of public resources, and there will be more over the next few months. Between now and the end of the year, we're going to be adding all kinds of things. So check it out, get on the mailing list. And let me know if there's something that you don't see that you would like to see, because like I said, we're reevaluating everything.
Yeah, well, I'm all excited. I'm glad that I thought to talk with you and that you agreed to do this, and because you can't have any time. Yeah. So thank you for carving out a piece.
It's okay. I'm delighted. It's so nice to see you. We haven't seen each other in a few years. So yeah.
At least a few, I know.
Bad for the excuse.
Yeah, this is a good way to get back together doing these things. Well, okay, so I'll make sure those graphics are up. Anything else that you'd like to share with us, or have we covered most of the main topics?
I just have one more thing in that if you are out there and being a classical vocal pro, which is our main group, don't let any of this stop you. The biggest hurdle as a performing artist is not just waiting for things to happen to you. It's going out and making them happen. If you're not creating something of your own, if you're not putting out, start with a monthly newsletter, do something, right? Start a blog, do something so that you are using your creativity, not only to keep yourself going, but to show people why what we do matters, why classical vocal music matters, and it's still relevant.
Right.
Get out there and do something to contribute to that, and it will drive you forward.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to emphasize too, is that once you start doing something, even if sometimes it might feel futile,
Yes.
It might feel like, why is this going to make a difference? What am I doing? This little thing, I know I've done that many a time.
Yes, me too.
Many futile projects that I've started.
That's how you get there.
Yeah, one futile. Well, we learn by making mistakes. We learn by experience. We learn by doing. And
exactly.
yeah, and so just and doing that one little thing. Don't let the little devils and things say it's futile. Just do it, and then you'll be generating and more energy, and you'll be doing other things. It's really weird. It's like practicing, which is that evil P word that we don't like to talk about, practice.
Yes, but
Once you
it's a
start,
habit.
yeah, once you sit down and turn on that whatever and start singing, then you're going,
Right.
but it's getting to it, it's turn
Right.
off that TV and get over there and get yourself practicing, yeah,
It all can seem so overwhelming, but it really is about building the habit. If you do something creative every day, then it's not foreign anymore. It's overcoming that foreignness we just talked about.
right.
Yeah.
So good. So this is all really good input and good energy and good information for everyone. So I thank you very, very much for sharing your valuable time with me, with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
Okay, great. Well, and everybody keep watching, because there will be more. This is not futile. There will be more. More of Studio Shanks
Yay!
Sundays. Yeah, Studio Shanks Sundays live at 5. Thanks.